Good morning and welcome to episode 2 of Birbtales. I haven't actually had any feedback yet about the first episode, but I think from what Dan has sort of told me, it was alright. But there will realistically be like a 2 week delay on comments and trying to catch up with comments and things like that. So at the end of each video, I'll probably have like a comment section and, the usual, gotta help the algorithm. So make sure that if you do enjoy this series that you leave a like or, subscribe to the channel. I don't really know what they do anymore on YouTube. I've become an OnlyFans, I think it is. That's what the kids tell me, at least, You want to be on those OnlyFans accounts. But yeah. Also, I've got an ulcer on my tongue, which is really annoying this week. So I find it hard to talk for too long without needing to, constantly sip water. But you won't know that, but Dan will just edit all that out for me, and it'll be the beautiful things. Now, I had a bit of reflection this week, just about life, and life in general, because life, it's a bit of a fun game. Would not recommend. It's fine ages 0 to 18, but it's really, really difficult to sort of say how it has. It's been a bad week for me. A lot of mundane things, realistically, where I've sort of stopped caring a little bit about a few things, and it's a really harmful thing to do. I haven't been reading as much this week because the book, one of my friends at work lends me a book each week. We swapped a few books. I swapped the great David Goggins book for this book called Emotional Intelligence. It's a good book. It's just so confronting. You know that, there's some quotes which the reason why you aren't happy is just because your body can't regulate your own emotions, and that's why you're not happy. And it's this just cuts a little too deep. Where I sort of think each time I listen, read the book, I'm like, this is not helping my anxiety. I'm feeling nervous. And it's a good book. It's just very confronting, and that's what annoys me. Each sort of time you want to look at the books and things like that, you want to make sure that you're enjoying it. So I've read maybe 80 pages, whereas the last month I was reading a book a week. I was reading 50 to 60 pages a day. But because of how confronting this new book is, it's it's been a bit difficult. I've also had a few celebratory things. So I had a birthday in the middle of the week, so I ate bad, and then didn't have time for the gym. The day before that, we needed to do last minute present shopping, and on top of that as well, so we had no time for the gym on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, I was really demotivated after 2 days, so I really pushed myself to go to the gym at 8 o'clock. It was only because I was talking to my good friend Cats and Dog, and I was oh yeah, I better go to the gym. I hate being a fat cunt. So I went to the gym for about an hour. Didn't really do much. And then caught up Friday, surprisingly. Massive shout out to Max Strixlover, is what he goes by, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what his real name is. I can't pronounce it. Didn't even get me to attempt it. So what, it is definitely interesting in that regard. So what I recommend is, so his tip was that, instead of going home from the station, because COVID sucks. The gym now closes at 8 p.m. So realistically, the time I finish work and get to the gym, it's 6. I don't really have that much time. So I went to the gym at 6, did my workout, went home. After that, and it was a really good session. I caught up on my body weight, not my barbell rows, my strong lifts. So it was good in that regard, but it was definitely. I sort of found a bit of a downfall. A lot of my strength conditioning is that I have really weak grip. I deadlifted 100 for the second time, I think, in my life. I could do 2 reps, but the bar just, when you just feel like you're going to drop something? It's not like those dubsteps where it's I'm just going to drop the bass. I was just I just felt nervous, and I don't know if it was the psychological fear. And I definitely thought after the first time I struggled, I did too. I thought it was a psychological fear. So I tell myself these little white lies. I'm your Max, whatever his last name is, your Max was whatever his last name is. He does this for fun, and I got to 2, and then it just slipped. So I'm gonna have to deload that. I'm gonna go back to 95. I wasn't happy with 95. So then what I did then was I was okay, I need to message people and ask what they think is the best way to go forward, because realistically, I don't want to have this barrier of the grip strength being what leads me down. Because the week at the gym was so good. I hit PBs. I hit a PB squat, 82.5 for 5x5. I hit a PB bench for 60. That felt amazing. I remember one of my good friends, I think I spoke about it in the first episode, but Bav was like, look, every time we got by 10, it's just so like, it's just so alleviating that feeling. And he's right. When I hit 5x5, so I hit 24 reps last week on the 5x5, so 5x5 by 5 by 5 by 4. And I was so mad I missed by one, and then this time I got it. So now it's like, I'll be trying 62.5, which I'm not looking forward to, because 60 was a bitch. But yeah, no, definitely looking at trying to do that 6 times a week. Gym sessions. So I did go to the gym 5 times this week and did a bit of a home workout on Tuesday as on the advice of Jimmy Frugia. Really just liked it, to be honest, but I think it's because of how messy my room is. People that have seen my room know how messy it is. I hate my life. I can't bother to clean it. Maybe one day I won't be lazy. But yeah, it was definitely interesting in that regard of just, Corona's been Corona. It's ruined gym times, which is so annoying. And then, but the gym's really a good social outlet. I made a few friends at the gym, and, just some comments that, oh, good to see we all know where all the 20 kilos went. Oh, like that sort of gym banter. You wouldn't understand. Unlike a super fit gym person like me that knows all the gym lingo. I don't know, it's just been good. And then Saturday was good. It was work. I had a long shift. I got work again today. I know, I'm a slut for money. But it was also interesting this week because I was thinking about, on Friday night, one of my mates hit me up to go out to the pub, and I was like, nah, I'm not going out because I don't like those people. My best mate had the shits to me, and I was like, it is what it is. But yeah, no, Saturday night was good. Having, that Ben Shapiro meme about my wife, she confirms to me that the P word is never, but this is what I don't understand about him saying the P word and then having to refer to it as female genitalia. Does Ben Shapiro say penis? Like, I would have thought that, like, if he told me, like, what's the P word, I would have thought penis. Like, it's the anatomically correct term, I think. Or I hope it is. Or maybe it's just funky dong. But then you have, like, I would have thought he would have just been, like, pussy. Like if he sees a cat, right, and someone's like, oh, like, those old Looney Tunes, remember the skunk, and he's always trying to, like, tune that pussy cat? Do you reckon he's just like, oh, you're so beautiful, enchanté, el pubord cat. It just sounds so weird. P-word, which defines female genitalia. Just say for argument's sake, for the hypothetical. Like, it's just so stupid to me. Like, when you say the V word? Or is that vroom? But yeah, no, I've definitely had a good week. I've been, I got a couple of things to talk about. I don't know how long this intro is. That's Dan's issue. I got my ulcer on my tongue, so I don't really know. It's probably been about like 10 minutes or so. I don't know. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about. So the first one is that self-reflection, and looking at like idealism and how do you chase those hedonistic highs, and what did you think about it as a kid? Now, luckily for me, I have a very good memory of like the depression, so I could probably tell you a lot of things about how I can sort of remember things and stuff like that. Oh, sorry, I'm just gonna yell at Bill. I know I'm very distracted at times. I hate my life, but yeah. So, well, I was thinking back to this in primary school, and I remember that, like, I was a loner in primary school. I actually don't remember much about, like, growing up in terms of, like, parent interaction. I remember I used to play a lot of Game Boy, and I used to get in trouble because I was the only person in, like, my mom's family that had a Game Boy. So, like, I just played the Game Boy day. I'd play Pokemon Red. I was actually, like, I remember I'd go to my grandparents' house, and they're like, do you want to do things? I remember a lot of times, like, spending time with my grandparents. I just don't remember what happened after that. It's a really depressing thought, and I really feel bad for my parents that I'm like, I can barely remember anything from, like, my primary school years because I spent so much time with my grandparents. But, yeah, I remember, I'm trying to think, but you know how, like, I remember in primary school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I used to tell all these, like, lies so people liked me. I probably still do to this day, but not to the way that I used to. Like, people in older years used to love me because I just took so much shit out my ass. Because I talk about, like, I was going to be a pro surfer and this and that. But I think the big thing was to me was I always wanted to be a millionaire and, like, own my own home and, have a wife and have kids. I would say own my own home, but, like, drive that Ferrari. And then as you get older, you realize that's just a movie. And then, like, yeah, everyone has that, like, childhood crush. Mine was Vanessa Hudgens, and I think she's still an absolute gem to this day. In terms of look wise, I don't know too much about her personality, but I'm hoping Dan will edit this in, and it's the only time you can change from the podcast. But I need to look up what year Sucker Punch came out because Ashley Tisdale was another one I used to love, but Vanessa Hudgens in 2011 Sucker Punch, she was absolutely insane. She just she was the cover girl in Sucker Punch, and Sucker Punch is all about like the three girls who go into like this warehouse and like all this dancing and lobotomy and stuff like that. But she's just so Vanessa Hudgens. What I'd do for like a date with Vanessa Hudgens. But yeah, and then as I sort of got older, I wanted to like do other things. I remember when I was in year seven, I wanted to start doing more sporty things, but I knew I was never good at sport because I had other friends that were a lot better than me at sport. So like how like people so like, people will say that like there's never any bullying in schools when it comes to sport because it's about ability. I remember my mum used to hate me because I was a very competitive sport person. We used to play this game in primary school. I don't know if people remember it. It's called Nuke and Ball. So the idea is you have like it's like a volleyball court and you throw the ball over the other side and you have to catch it. And my mum, I remember one time we were playing Nuke and Ball and I caught one and then because I used to play cricket, I used to love cricket as a kid. I didn't play in a half bad team, so I used to love like catching things. Unfortunately, older, I wish I caught coronavirus and died, but unfortunately, I'm unable to do so. But what happens is, I caught one with one hand, and like, you remember, it's like the size of a ball, I caught it in another hand, and I slided it, and everyone like cheered that day, and it was one of the few times people thought I was like good at sport. And emphasis on one of, but yeah, I tore an absolute the knees. I really don't think that long pants for boys at like schools is only so that they don't scrape themselves and then get their knees infected and then they can't sue the school. Because I swear every boy wears shorts and long pants is just irrelevant to me. Fortunately, we don't play handball in the workplace. That'd be good fun. Imagine that, just playing new. But yeah, so I never wanted to be like the world's best athlete, but I just wanted to be fit and healthy. And I used to think, like, I don't know really who the inspiration was. I probably think it was a lot of like Zac Efron from back in there because every girl loved Zac Efron. I think it was 17 again where like Zac Efron went from like Troy Bolton to Zac Efron. And I think realistically it shows how much the media can push a certain narrative. Like, I remember thinking about a lot of things. Like, this is where I think Justin Bieber's a very interesting case. Like, you had girls who were like Zac Efron his daddy at like 12 years old, but Justin Bieber was like, oh, he's going to be my boyfriend and we're the same age and we're going to grow up together. And Zac Efron's like, I will be there to protect you, dad. And there wasn't really anyone else in terms of like celebrity crushes. I think as I got older, there was a lot more like Avril Lavigne, Katy Perry. I think Katy Perry is that real like pin-up doll sort of character. I definitely know. I think it was E.T. or California Girls. Let's look up what year California Girls came out, because that's another good one. But that was another one where I think my curiosity about girls really strayed from it. California Girls, 2010. This was before Sucker Punch. But yeah, California Girls, one of the first mainstream, in my opinion, songs which visually portrayed the nature of the song. You know what I mean? Like, you used to have rappers and like, even if you watch like old, like Dr. Dre, like Tupac, for example, like California Love, and Tupac has a lot of songs like this, but he never has like pin-up girls like in Wet Ass Pussy, or WAP as the kids say. So it was always in my, and then when I went to like high school, I think it was a bit of more of a focus to sport because I went to probably accidentally a sports school because it was ironic that one of a couple of NRL players now went to school with, but it all started because one of the coaches' sons, he was at our school, and then from there, that's how we had a lot more people in sports. So I was like in year 7, I could have made the like school rugby league team because anyone made it, but I remember my mum was so worried about me getting injured that I decided not to. But I started going to my dad's footy on the weekends more, doing water boy sort of things. I remember I got horribly bullied out through school, and I always used to try to fit in. I think from about year three to about year nine, all I wanted to do was fit in, and I craved that social attention. I think I still do now. I think it's worse now. I had some very good years where I could have like, you could have like left me like in the middle of the woods. I would have just been peaceful. But I think that was because I became comfortable of like accepting mediocrity. Whereas now it's like I'm trying to drive myself to be this person that I thought I was going to be. And so I was horribly bullied, and I was like trying to do sport, and realistically, I can't run 100 meters without failing to sprint. I was last in every athletics event ever. Uh, I was pretty much last in every swimming event ever but there were some things that we would do socially at school that I'd be very good at sport wise. I remember, I think we played volleyball. I remember we won, I think, the volleyball like championships in like year eight. I think as well, like I was a very good. I wasn't very good, but like our school teams did well. I think I played cricket. I remember one time, I think it's year nine cricket. I played where for the guy that averaged four. I think I tonked like 40 runs and nearly bring back the game. That was good times. But yeah, it was definitely funny to a lot of people about that because I was never that good at sport. I'm still to this day not that good at sport. I don't really play many sports anymore. I'll probably get into some maybe in a year or two again, but I'm just enjoying the gym. So I was never really that fit and healthy. And realistically, I think it was an issue relating to then other things. Like, for example, my dad was always worried about my sugar intake because I was a hyperactive kid. I would play Pokemon Stadium on the Nintendo, just jump up and down with Super Smash Bros. And like, I think kids are inundated with sugar, and it's not their fault. I think I was a great example of that. But yeah, so it comes down again. So year seven to eight, I didn't really think about my future at all. I pissed away being like in this smart class because I just hated the social side of things. I didn't fit in because this high school I went to had like five streams of people that like were friends from like K to six, and then another stream of people that weren't never interacted. I got bullied, harassed, like whatever it is. So I didn't really have much self esteem. And then year nine came along, and I probably made one of my best friends to this day, where he was another outsider. I was just friends with him, and we get along really well. Whoa, that's loud. I hope my mum sneezing doesn't ruin my video. But yeah, so I remember year nine, I wanted to be a movie director. Because that's when everyone became obsessed with Megan Fox. I remember, like, in year seven or so, people would make fun of me because they'd be like, I would not fuck that celebrity. So I was like, I don't think they're attractive. And Megan Fox is one of them. I honestly don't find Megan Fox that attractive. I think Miranda Kerr is so much more attractive than her. And she was really popular. I think, didn't she end up like a blended bloom or something like that? But gosh, she was so attractive. But yeah, I remember, like, a lot of people were just, like, made fun of me to that regard. Year eight was one of those years. Didn't do much. I started trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then year 10. I think year 10 got easier because year 10, I think realistically as well, saying to one of my mates, I think the fappening, don't look that up, was one of the reasons why a lot of young males my years became like aware of how much pornography is on the internet. It sort of ruined me to a degree, but it gave me a lot of motivation as well. But I think that was one of the few times in my life where pornography became easily widespread, and it sort of took a grip to a degree. But I think as well, I wanted to overcome that in year 11 and 12. In year 11, I thought things were going swimmingly. I was doing well, and I was looking at, like, okay, so what do I want to do? I realized about year 9, I really hated the idea of being a movie director and wanted to run my own business and look into marketing. Like, I used to watch so many business people, like Steve Jobs. I used to read all, like, these things about people starting up their own companies and things like that. I don't really have the drive anymore because I've realized how risky starting your own company is. But there's definitely a few ideals that we'll talk about that relate to everything. And I remember in year 11, I had a really big crush on a girl, and I thought we were going to go somewhere because I then started thinking about what my future would actually look like. And she was a pretty well-off rich girl who was very attractive, or who I thought was very attractive at the time. And I sort of thought to myself, like, we could start dating at like 15, 16, get married at like 24, have a few kids, have our own house, work hard to finish uni, start my own business, or work really hard. She was a very intelligent girl as well. And I sort of thought about those as well. And I sort of look back on this and realize how much of those ideals, now looking back, relied on other people to make them happen. Even like this podcast, I rely on Dan to make it happen. I'm kind of mad it's taking him a week to edit my shitty podcast. Oh, but Dan, leave that one in. You can edit that part out though. But I didn't get any feedback. But I was like, stuff it. I'll trust myself. I'll back myself. I reckon it's good. I reckon we'll get good feedback for episode 1, episode 2. It'll just be a bit of a train wreck. But I realized like at 18, 17 when I left school, I was really depressed. I wanted to have that uh, instant gratification of. I remember I met Palpy that year, Moose, I think from the FBL. And I remember Palpy is one of these guys who, in my opinion, is an absolute G. And I hope he knows that. I don't talk to him as often as I once did, but he's a G. I love the man to death. He's got some very interesting perspectives on the world, but he's a very, very nice guy. And what I love about Palpy was that Palpy said to me, I remember I was finishing school, I was like, when I finish school, I'm just going to like go through this high pace like life of just sleeping with multiple women and like find the right girl in my dreams. And Palpy flat out said, don't waste your time, you're never going to do it. And the Palpy was never more right in his life. And it was true. And, I remember I went out to the nightclub one time and I didn't work out for a month or so because I lost motivation. I was just playing Pokemon. I was learning a lot from Zazo. And, yeah, one of the guys at the nightclub said I didn't look like I have a muscle. I didn't want to go back to the gym. And then the next time, where was the next time? The next time, I think, a photo of me trying to chat up a couple of girls at a nightclub went viral as well. When I say viral, I mean like my friends. And I just, after that moment, I was like, I just don't want to go out. I hate myself. I want to stay home. I want to like escape through Pokemon. Didn't have a job. Was just like in this in-between stage of like uni. Like uni theoretically was a fresh start to me, but I realized the older you get, the more and more people you know through mutual people. Like some of my best mates at uni were mates of mates from my high school. And I still had the idea out through uni that I was going to blitz through uni easily, get a really good job, buy a house, and meet the girl of my dream. Because that's what I've really started to do. I started to believe these lies, and then I remember that curiosity and a lot of things came about. But when I got to about the second last year of high school, not high school, uni. Actually, no, second last year of high school is right. I started to focus more on me, where I have a lot of flaws in my life that I try to weed out, that a lot of people don't see, or I would hope they don't see. Like, I used to be a lot more worse at like social settings than I am now, where I sometimes always like try to make sure my opinions and stuff don't carry those big punches I used to, because gosh, I used to make people upset. That people just didn't want to look at you, again, because you'd just make them upset. And that's the thing I've said to everyone, is that you want to make sure when you're doing these things that you don't want to bully people to that degree that you once did in like your high school days. Like when you're in high school, I used to like follow a lot of controversial pages. I was like, someone kills himself, they kill themselves. It's not your fault. But now I'm sort of like, ooh, that's not right. Watching it, Frankenbite, and people go, oh, you can't say that. That's very wrong. I'm like, yeah, no, but I clearly said that is wrong to do. You don't want anyone to kill themselves, and the sanctity of life is a great value through the Judeo-Christian way. But yeah, and I decided on push-ups. I did sit-ups. I had my first girlfriend because of it. It didn't last very long. Ironically, she broke up with me because I was too much of a pussy. And then, yeah, I worked really hard on my grades, and then I was doing well in school, so the girl that, like, fucked me right off and hated me, and I used to, ironically, and I advise a lot of people to do this, if you think something's gone wrong in your life, look back on it and then say, it did go wrong, but what did I gain from it? I gained so many friends because I ditched this one girl. I stopped having tunnel vision. I actually got like psychological help for those issues, and a very, very good therapist. I got into uni. Yes, it's a non-G8 uni. Lamau. If you don't know what a non-G8 uni is, it just means that your parents haven't bought you a car for going to uni. Really, that's not really what it really means. But a lot of people that make those unis normally send that. You can make a G8 uni for anything. You could have went to like a G8 uni and did a Bachelor of Arts. But yeah, so I just sort of thought to myself, well, I want to go to uni and do a Bachelor of Commerce. I wanted to do law at the time as well. I thought I was good enough for law. I had a lot of people that were like, we'll give you law internships and make you. And I realised I got to the stage I was never going to be good enough for law. So I had to like take this back seat because I think I watched a lot of Suits in high school and I was like, ooh, I could be the next. What's his name? Is it Harvey Dent? No, it's not Harvey Dent, you idiot. That's the guy in Batman. Harvey Specter, that's the one. I could be the next Harvey Specter. But me and my friend went to do law. My friend was a lot more intelligent than me, and we both didn't make law. We both have ironically gone in some very different paths. She's now doing like nursing, and I'm doing like commerce. And I'm just like laughing, thinking back to those times where we're like, we're gonna do this, and then we just never did. But yeah. So I think if I was looking at myself now, what is my like ideal sort of self? I think the first thing is I'd love to be like happy and have good health. Now when I say happy, I think the better way to describe this is content with life. When you watch a lot of David Goggins, he comes across as this dude who's like, I'm monotoned for the sake of being monotoned. Fuck, I'm not monotone anymore. But he's like, I've overcome so much adversity that I'm so content with where I am, but I'll never like stop trying to chase the next high. Of like, Goggins, you can't do that. I think I'd love to be like Goggins like that in that regard. Like I just think to myself, I think I have some very good friends that remind me how well I do. And I sort of feel bad at times because I sometimes feel that's all I ask them is like, can you tell me I'm doing well? Like, you're doing well. Yeah, but can you tell me again? But I hate my life sometimes. Oh my goodness. But yeah. I think that's my top priority. The second one is just have a good work-life balance. Realistically, you need to make sure that you're approaching gym the right way and your job the right way, because that's where you'll have fun with life. If you don't, you don't. But yeah, so what I slowly learnt is that I want a work-life balance where I can go to the gym after work, or what I deal with COVID ends, go to the gym before work and after work, or have the option to do either or depending on the day. But yeah, that would be really nice. Also as well, my current job's quite nice. I can leave and go to the gym, and that's what I want to do. And that's what realistically you want to do more and more. Is you want to find those things that make you happy and then make you enjoy life a little bit. I enjoy the gym. I enjoy the community aspect of Pokemon. My Pokemon friends. Oh, friends. No, it's not my fucking friend. I just enjoy that. I enjoy the community side of Pokemon and having a laugh with some people. And that's definitely what people should understand. And as more and more time goes on, the more and more I slowly enjoy life, as sad as that is. But you want those interactions. You want people to know that you're having fun. You want people to know that you're okay, because what always worries me is when I say, like, I check up on my mates and they're like, no, I'm fine. You tell me how you are. And I'm like, I'm fine. And they're like, no, you're not fine. I'm like, no, you're not fine. No, you're not fine. I think men do this a lot because, like, the common narrative is now, the local man that aged 47, killed himself for no apparent reason. That was because Darren over here didn't fucking check up on him. Darren was his dealer and just didn't understand that giving him 5 grams of 5 grams of black tar heroin was the reason that he decided to kill himself. It's like, okay, but we sometimes just as men, I think we over check up on people. I think I'm guilty of that. And I was like, well, tell me how you really feel. It's like, I don't want to tell you. I'm like, but tell me how you really feel. I think I got to work on that a little bit, but I think I don't want my friends to worry about me when I'm like, oh, I'm depressed. Like, oh, James, you're gonna kill yourself. Should I? Yeah, no.
I thought you were going to say, oh, you're going to tell me an issue. But yeah, no. It's a concern of mine when my friends say they worry about me. They're good friends. But yeah, I don't like my friends worrying about me. I just like having fun. Having a bit of a blast with the boys. The third thing I think as well is I think I'd like to be debt free. I think what I realised is a lot of those people you watch who make those multi-millions on TV, they have so much debt, it's not even funny. And it's like, oh no, I can't say that because that's actually bad. What is that bad debt? I think I'd like to have a lot of debt. I think I'd like just to have no real commitment to money. And then I think as well, like my lowest priority at the moment is just like find a mate. Yeah, but your biological clock is ticking. Like I don't know. Like I think when I was young, the ideal thing was to be a father and like provide and have those like old school values. But I think as time goes on, I've slowly realised that I won't find that person. Well, people say that like, oh, you've given up like with love and that. It's so depressing to hear that, but like, it's true. Like, I think I could only tell you about one person ever liked me at the same time I liked them, and then like every other time it's either like, oh, I didn't like them at that time, or I didn't know enough about them, so I decided not to like get too involved with them, or didn't decide to be open enough at the time. And I think like okay, good example. Great Birbtale. Jack Buckley's favourite Birbtale. Oh my goodness. One of my best friends at her 19th, I went with one of my uni mates, and when we got to the venue, my mate was telling me how he liked this one girl and he's loved her for years. He's absolutely, like, he thinks the sun comes out of that wet ass pussy. And what happened was she was like checking me out, touching me up. I was like, oh no, women near that. That's my special spot. I was having lots of D&Ms with the guy, and she was drunk at the time, and I didn't want to do anything with her because I was like, she's drunk. I have a conscience. Luckily, Bill Standish posted that thing about the drunk consent thing. But yeah, I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Just don't view that like that. And one of my best friend at the time went, how the fuck didn't you fuck her? And I was like, I just didn't think it was right. I actually left, and a few times in my life, I didn't say goodbye to someone deliberately because I was like, I don't want to say goodbye to them. And she messaged me the next day, you didn't say goodbye to me. I was like, you're not interested in me. Then I found out that she was a smoker. That turned me off. Ugh. And then one time, she asked me to come over to help her to study while her parents were out for the day. I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'll help you study. And it was maths. I was like, I love maths. I sort of hate maths when it's my own maths, but I love helping other people with maths. That's kind of one of my worst sort of things. But yeah, from there, I was like, oh, how do you, what's the sort of next step? And it's like, okay, I helped her, like, I spent 6 hours when we got lunch with her as like Melbourne Cup. And that's why Melbourne Cup to me is like my favourite meme. Not just because it's like animal cruelty with those horses. It's not really animal cruelty, but it's like, it's the same argument you make for a lot of things. I just don't like it. I think it's a bit of animal cruelty, and I think it's so much pressure on a horse. And I think gambling, like normalizing gambling, if they decide it's an addiction, if people win, things like that, whatever. So what I said to this girl that day was like, gave me the big kiss on the cheek and hug, and I was like, don't know what she wants to know. And I was like, I realized like looking back at it, she gave me so many signs that day. And I just didn't know what was going on. Oh, that's classic. Because I haven't name dropped them, that may or may not have happened. I don't need to ask for permission for that story. But yeah, like, I remember one time she stayed back at uni like 2 hours to catch the train home with me. And her best friend was like, one of my uni mates, and her best friend that thought the sun came out of her wap, was like, went with her. And he was like telling me, he's like, bro, she's not interested in you. I'm like, I think she is. I remember she had a really bad like vibe. I was like, nah. Because I'm always like, oh, this is my alarm to wake up in the day. Yeah, interesting. I set an alarm today for 10:50. So I didn't want to change my alarm settings in case I was going to sleep in for work. And then I woke up at 8 a.m. I was like, I hate my life. Genuinely hate my life. But yeah, I think when I look at those things, though, I'm like, ooh, baby. And, I think there may be someone out there for me, and I like to hope, but I think at the same time I need to put myself out there, and I don't. I think at the same time as well, it's because I'm like trying to get some really good like foundations, and I have some very good conversations about this with people, and some people are like, "Oh, aren't you worried?" I was leaving work on Friday. One of the girls, because I work in a team where everyone's like 20 years older than me, was like, "So what are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, "I got work." She's like, "Don't you need time off?" I was like, "Nah, not really." She's like, "Don't you want to see anyone?" I was like, "Oh no, I don't have a girlfriend. I go to work." She's like, "And what about your friends? You want to see your friends?" Like, "Oh yeah, my friends wanted me to go to the pub with them tonight, but I want to go to the gym, so I'm going to the gym." She's like, "Oh," just walked away. I was like, "This is completely normal. I like this." But yeah, I really think for me, it's always about having the best you can and then setting yourself up in a position of life. And I love that by me. I love like the fact I'm trying to set myself a really good foundation so that by the time I'm like 25, mid 20s. Because I think that's like where a lot of people start dating. I don't know. I think they're like, oh my God, my body clock, I'm never going to have kids. But yeah, it is what it is. You got to put yourself out there. But yeah, I think for me at this stage, it's just about trying to get me right. And then one of my best friends used to give me like this advice. His name was Mick. He's like, you can't love anyone. Like, no one else is going to love you until you love you. Like, okay. That's a weird way to reject someone. No, but it's a good point. It was always about how, in her eyes, that if you really want to find someone that loves you, you need to love yourself and find those things you love about. And everyone has strengths and weaknesses. I remember my favourite scene in Good Will Hunting growing up is where Robbie, not Robbie, Robin, was it Robbie Williams or Robin Williams? Oh, I'm going double checking this now. Don't get this on the podcast. Yeah, Robin Williams, where he says, you gotta love your idiosyncrasies about each other because you all have strengths and weaknesses. He's like, my wife used to fart in her sleep, and one time she farted so loud it woke the dog up. And Will goes, "So did you tell her that it was her?" It's like, "Oh no, I didn't have the heart to tell her. I told her it was me." It's just those little things, and I think to myself, it's so important. And a lot of people like try to put other pressure on me to like, you got to think about it. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll just die at 25 and an itch and no one cares. But yeah, so I think for now, I think it gives a good little overview on like what I'm trying to like do in that regard, of what I'm trying to focus on. Also, the second one I have is a bit of a weird theory, but I sort of like it. It's very Australian, so I do apologise for that. Now, it's not the coronavirus theory that Bill Gates is trying to. Isn't it weird that maybe 5G stands for 5 Bill Gates, just microchipping you? Like, that could be like the next Christmas song. You go, 1 microchip, 2 5G towers, 3 microchips, 4 Bill Gates, 5 Bill Gates microchipping you, so we could like. I don't understand that people are so worried about 5G, but then again, people were worried about seatbelts 80 years ago, and I think that we've come a long way. So what that tells you is stupid people by natural selection either live in a hole and don't know what a seatbelt is, or their kids were smarter than them. One of the things I've started noticing a lot on Reddit has become how people at the age of 18 decide that their parents never vaccinated them and they hate their parents for that and go vaccinate themselves. I can't think of anything more alpha to do. Hey, mum, I turned 18. All right, dear, you can go have a beer. No, I'm going to get vaccinated. Huh? No, you don't want beer? No, mum, I've been drinking since the age of 12. I want to get vaccinated. Well, you can't, you're out of my roof. Well, I'm going to go get vaccinated. No, you can't get out of my roof. Oh, you're right, I'm going to the doctor's roof and he'll vaccinate me on it. No, mate, I just wanted to disown you because you're going to put so much peanut oil. Oh, my goodness. Some people. But yeah, so my new like little theory is that the reason why people like Friendly Jordies are now so popular is because comedians paved the way where they got sick of what the news was telling them and the little effort they were putting into the news because once you become to a position of power, you don't need to check. Like a current affair, there's this great video that someone put back years ago. I remember I signed a petition when I was like in year 7 or year 8, maybe year 9. Take current affair off the new off Channel 9 because it was this way. The old bludgers. The whole bludgers are here and they're struggling to get a $3.50 coffee. Dun dun dun. She can't feed her kids because school fees are too high. Dun dun dun. World's worst neighbour doesn't flush his toilet. Oh. Dun dun dun. And then it's always like, and we're not sponsored by any major supermarkets, but we do think what's happening to farmers are bad. But go to Woolworths and Coles where they're selling milk for $1.50. What the fuck are they on? So, for those of you who don't know, Tristan Barker and Lewis Spears used to run a group called Face Beef. I believe Lewis's girlfriend was in Face Beef. So, if you don't know, Lewis Spears and Tristan Barker were once married in New Zealand as a joke, but they were very good. They used to have like other people that used to show them. Like Teddy used to be one of them. I remember he used to have a Charmander in a picture. They used to like, I like Charmander, I like Teddy, and then Teddy was a bitch. So other people like Brett White who used to just steal petrol from petrol stations, and he said, I remember he gave a really good interview one time. He said, I actually used to let them have the footage and say this would go on a current affair. And then I would like go either the week before or the week after and just pay them back. He's like, I'm just an honest crook. I don't know what he's up to now. I think he sort of changed his opinion on a few things. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure his name was Brett White. Petrol thief. Yeah, so Brett White. This was in 2012. Dumbest petrol thief. But yeah, it's definitely interesting looking at it. It's a very interesting thing looking back at it. But people used to get so mad. And what Lewis Spears and Tristan Barker did was they used to run all these fake stories that would make a current affair. And what Tristan Barker's best sort of thing was, he said people are becoming less resilient and they're getting really triggered about what a mainstream narrative is. So, like, a very good example he used to give is the war in the Middle East, whether you believe it's right or wrong. But there's so many civilian casualties because of the way that the wars have changed, where we don't go to a foreign power and just fight there, and whatever happens, or you fought, king versus king. And the fact that now you just use mass population, to fight those wars and the brutality of them on the homeland. It really started with, like, World War II, with, like, the Battle of Britain, and people just, Germany just bombing the shit out of Britain to a degree. It was quite an ancient warfare. Where, they started fighting colonial powers, they fought on the homeland, as they called them, where people would then get upset that they were fighting on the homeland. But Tristan Mark was trying to push this, was trying to, say, well, you just like this type of person. He used to normally attack Pauline Hanson, because Pauline Hanson, I think, the older I get, I sort of understand what her point is that Australia should be moving forward, and we should be like this forward-thinking group, except it has some very barbaric, like, tribal undertones, where it's like, Australians are white and we work in fish and chip shops and we become politicians. It's like, no, Pauline, that doesn't make sense. Well, you're just not listening. And that's what One Nation's about, moving Australia forward. And then it's like, then you have people like Fraser Anning, and Fraser Anning is just, has made some very interesting comments about, like, and I remember that, like, he wrapped himself in, like, 2 tea towels. It was like, doesn't matter what you look like, it matters about the inside. I was like, oh, Tristan, you feel so nice. And that was really good. And then you had people like, when he was really trying to push, and then you had people like Nebs Adley, which used to be his handle at the time. He had this, getting arrested on his birthday was one of the great pranks he did. Then he used to just dress up as a Dragon Ball Z character and tell people that cyberbullying is not real. And what happened was, which made the news realistically very, very funny, is that they got into a current affair because of a cyberbullying story, because they were just trying to do anything at that time as they could to take down these 2 trolls. And what people would argue about trolling is some people say trolling's not fair, it's not funny. I think it's fucking hilarious. If you can find a point about someone and you can absolutely exuberate it to the fact that they should understand either one, it's a fault that's going to be commonly made fun of, or 2, they want to change it, and then you can't troll them. So, for example, if you troll someone for being fat, and you're like, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, oh, chunky monkey, but you see them go to the gym, and then go to the gym, you can't then say, oh, you're fat. You can go, mate, good on you, you go to the gym to change your life. Do you want any tips? I'll go to the gym too. Now, honestly, that's a very simplified example, and I don't agree with that. I think the better argument, and what people say, is the trolling that happens on... It's not the same as it used to be. I think it's now been a lot more demonized, and it's a lot more underground, like 4chan and stuff. But back in the day, it was quite popular just to have a little bit of a... I remember I used to join in a little bit. Just be like, oh, I'm 13, Mum, I'm joining a cult. Oh, don't you join that Tristan Barker and Lewis Spears? They're cyberbullying people. Oh, you said that mean thing about me at school? I'm going to make fun of you online. Nice dance moves, dickhead. Ow, that hurt. Why'd you punch me? Oh, because you cyberbullied me. Like, what the fuck? So, yeah, and they got this story to air about a cyberbully victim who was cyberbullied for months and months, and she had like these doctored messages where I was like, show me your tits. I'm gonna fuck you so hard tonight. And then like name's Adelaide. It's the same. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you so hard tonight, and all this other doctored text. Like, it really affects my self-esteem. I think her name was Jasmine, and it was revealed by Face Beef that this Jasmine person was Lewis Spears' girlfriend. I was like, what the fuck? And a current affair went AWOL. We do apologise for the commentary that we did post last week, because we do realise now that this is defamation, And they said, how the fuck didn't they do any research? Why did they research the story they were about to publish? And this is why I think those shows, and when I watch people watch it, I'm like, why do you watch this? I see people that are forward who go, I've got to watch The Project, got to watch A Current Affair, got to watch Sunday Rise. I'm like, why the fuck do you want to watch them? Like, I'll be real with you. I watch Friendly Geordies, and you can tell me, oh, you watch Friendly Geordies, you're pushing the like. I mean, yeah, but she's very well researched. It's just entertaining. If a liberal wants, if a liberal supporter that's diehard wants to give me the same entertaining content as Friendly Geordies, who doesn't actually appear to be Labour, but appears to stand in alignment with Labour based off a majority of their policies, which co-align with his beliefs, such as a living wage, such as a lot of freedom, such as having good economic policy, such as access to clean energy and renewable energy, not selling off our water. There's so many issues we could talk about. I was like, oh, you can do that too. But I think it's something where it'll go both ways. I'm sure the Friendly Geordies doesn't talk about certain issues that don't fit his narratives at times, but I haven't seen it to the degree of other people. So what I then say is, okay, but I think what gave rise to Friendly Geordies was this whole current affair thing made people realise no one was really doing their issue, this whole fiasco. I've always said that to people. If you're going to try to be a subject matter expert, you always want to make sure that you're, like, understanding what's going on and then, like, reviewing it every time. It's probably like a 40-minute podcast rather than 50. I know I said an hour each week, but it'll be whatever time I feel like I want to do. But yeah. Oh, my tongue's so hurt. I hate ulcers on my tongue. I never get an ulcer on your tongue, kids. It's the worst feeling. But yeah. So my view is that you want to just constantly upgrade yourself so that you understand. So what I would look into then is that I'd say, oh, it hurts. My fucking jaw hurts. Oh, it's so annoying. It's that's where there's a lot of content creators that you come across are really good in some arguments because they've seemed very well researched. That's why I used to like reading a lot of Jordan Peterson. I used to love watching Ben Shapiro. Yeah, I know. It's kind of comical now these days, think about it, because they've sort of changed a lot. I'm going to say Jordan Peterson. I think Jordan Peterson hasn't changed that a lot. I just think a lot of his views were very cherry-picked to defend his arguments, but were done so in a very eloquent way, and he spoke very... His rhetoric ability is insane. I think it's on par with some of the best orators we've ever heard, where he has really fought from individual freedoms, but individual liberties, but has also taken away from some people. I think next week's podcast is going to be a bit of a controversial one, but I think it's going to be changing attitudes and beliefs, and because I just thought of a really good topic there, which is like the whole like transgender movement and how like my views are slowly changing on that, and I'm slowly learning to stop giving a fuck about people. But yeah, until next week, bye bye.